I came across some thumbnail videos, and I certainly don't check out every interesting thumbnail I see, but it was talking about women being punched randomly in New York City, and specifically women. So it seems that there's been dozens of women now assaulted in recent days, punched in the face. At least one victim was also spat on. Disgusting, disgusting situation. And three men have been arrested in connection with this. One of them is, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Skiboki Stora, who's 40, and he's been identified. Apparently, he's a fringe mayoral candidate with 90,000 followers on social media. Malik, Mia, Franz, Judy, no pictures of them. At least one of these men, it doesn't say which one, has been released without further charges. Maybe lack of evidence. Skiboki Stora has certainly been implicated in one of the assaults. Um, I checked out his social media, his Facebook page. He definitely seems like dubious character. There's some anti-white posts there. He's a black man. This is important to a big elephant in the room with this case. Namely, that if you had a white suspect, a white man, arrested on suspicion of assaulting black women, particularly in somewhere like New York City, you can be damn sure Black Lives Matter would be all over it, and you could be sure that it would immediately be deemed a hate crime. Now, even if people want to downplay the racial component here, um, at the very least, it should be deemed misogynistic because the victims are all women. Not a single one of these victims is men. I don't know what's going on here if the same three men are responsible for all the attacks. And I'm aware that New York City has a history with this. In the late 80s, there was five guys, the Central Park Five black men, who were later found to be innocent. So, yes, there should be a degree of caution. But I do think it is the elephant in the room that black on white crime is hugely downplayed in America for politically correct reasons. Because anyone that talks about it is deemed to be, you know, racially profiling, or it really pisses me off actually. Whoever is responsible for this is a scumbag that belongs behind bars. They should not be released onto the streets of New York City to terrorize innocent women. Um, and what I find striking is the reports are all about how women should be cautious, and they were on their phones and they should be cautious. Um, Even in the right wing outlets, there's a reluctance to call these thugs thugs. Apparently, in American vernacular now, even saying the word thug is racially changed. It shouldn't be. The word thug is simply an adjective to mean a violent criminal. Um, I remember a while back there was a guy acting aggressively on the New York City subway, a black guy, and the white guy intervened and kind of pinned him down, and he was immediately arrested. And there was a whole thing about, oh, it's racist. But the guy was clearly acting aggressively. I think this is what's happening in America now. I think in Democrat run cities, the crime is out of control. Now, apparently, overall crime in New York City is down, but misdemeanor crime, which includes assaults, is 10% up. But that's not a trivial thing. When you're talking about a man punching a woman in the face, that's, any assault is serious. A man punching a man in the face is serious. But it just goes without saying that the biology of it makes it more serious because, especially when she's not prepared for it, it's infuriating. If this guy Skiboki Stora is found to be guilty of these crimes, or at least some of them, he should be behind bars, not released on bail. But I question, why is this not being treated as a hate crime? If not for the fact that most of the victims seem to be white, at least one woman seemed to be Asian, but black suspect, white victims, why isn't it being treated as a hate crime? Male suspect, female victims, why isn't it being treated as a hate crime? Because And I'm not saying that it's definitely motivated by that, but it's a double standards. It's infuriating because absolutely 100%, if you had a white male suspect, as sometimes is the case, most mass shootings in America are white male suspects. So I'm not saying that they're innocent, but there is double standards in how this is applied. I'm sick and tired of the distortion of Black Lives Matter, who refuse to talk about this problem. They refuse to talk about black and white crime. Now, I've been very critical of the American right recently. I've been very critical of Trump. Incidentally, ironically, perhaps you could say, this guy, Skiboki Stora, one of his videos, he's appearing behind a Trump flag, whatever that means. He may well be unbalanced, I don't know. Based on the limited footage that they showed, it's hard to know, but there should be no excuses for this guy. He's a thug and he belongs behind bars. He's clearly dangerous to New York's women. Um, and like I say, I'm aware of historic context. I'm aware of the Central Park Five. They turned out to be innocent men. So, yes, there should be due process. Yes, all the evidence should be looked at. But it should be treated as a hate crime. And I think the double standards that it isn't, it's simply treated as a misdemeanor assault, which downplays it. It's a disgrace. And I'd imagine women in New York City right now would be feeling frightened. Um, but there has to be a situation, and I think the woke left have a lot to answer for because they have created a situation whereby, I mean, there's double standards here, there's mixed messages because with the whole Me Too thing, the narrative was men need to step up, right? So let's just say, for the sake of argument, I'm on a subway in New York City, I'm a white guy, and I see a black guy assaulting a woman. Now, what should I do? Should I intervene and try and defend her? The conscientious side of me would be like, yes, do something. But then immediately you'll get people saying, oh, it's a race thing because I'm white and he's black. Now, this is the elephant in the room. Another white guy wouldn't be a problem. No one would question that. It would just be, oh, I'm a good guy stepping up. But if it's a black guy, oh, it must be motivated by race. No, it's motivated by standing up to a thug attacking women, a card attacking women. Um, so I think the woke left in America have a lot to answer for in terms of how they distort these things, how they underplay the problem. Now, Black Lives Matter doesn't have a damn thing to say about black and white crime, or for that matter, black on black crime. Their whole narrative is about police brutality, and that's it, and that's all. And that is a problem. I've always condemned that. I've always said, yes, there is a problem there. But I also think they're partly culpable here because they're culpable for downplaying the very real problem in America of black on white crime. No one talks about it because it's politically inconvenient to do so. But I do think it's a serious problem. Um, and I think, frankly, there's black thugs out there who think they'll get away with it because they can play the race card. There's one footage of this guy, Skaboki Stora, confronting police and saying, oh, you're questioning a white guy now. And just, clearly he likes to make himself the center of attention. He may well be unstable, I don't know, but there's no excuse for what he's doing. So these three suspects, there's been dozens of assaults now. It may well be that there's more individuals involved, but women have a right to feel safe, and it's disgusting that these guys are. It's just been treated as misdemeanor assault. I think it should be seen as a hate crime, and I think they should be charged appropriately. Yes, there should be full due process. All the evidence should be presented, but this isn't just happening out of thin air. These assaults are not fictional. These women have been assaulted, um, and it needs to be taken seriously. And like I say, the elephant in the room is, if this was another demographic, if it was a white man attacking black women, you can be damn sure it would be made into a race thing. So why the double standards? Why is it when you have a black man attacking white women, it's immediately just, oh, well, it's a misdemeanor assault and it's bad, but let's not talk about that. Let's pretend that, there's no racial motivation involved. There's no hate crime involved, when there may well be. or at least if there's going to be a situation where every time you have demographics involved, then it's immediately presumed to be motivated by that. There should be consistency. Um, because when you have the victims are minorities and the perpetrator is white, then it's immediately deemed to be a hate crime, whether it is or isn't. Okay, you could have a crazy guy who has victims who happen to be minorities, but it would be immediately deemed to be a hate crime. Um, so why the lack of consistency? Um, it's disgusting to see whoever is doing this, and it seems to be that they've named this guy, they've shown a picture of him. His what's known about him doesn't speak well. But yeah, if he's guilty, he belongs behind bars. His victims deserve to feel safe.